Hi, this is Tweek. On today's episode of Tweeks with Tweek, we're going to get into the Halloween spirit by making a beaded witch. So grab up your wire, grab your beads, and join us. The supplies you'll need for this project are: you'll need some beading wire, beads. I used a variety of beads, cap beads, crimping beads, wire for beads. I used 6 through 14 millimeter beads, so a variety of sizes, a variety of colors. So grab up some wire, grab up a pair of scissors, and let's go. Halloween is coming, and I came up with the idea for a beaded witch as I was making the dancers and the beaded cluster balls. So to begin with, to make this witch, I need 3 half cluster balls to make her dress. So I'm going to start there. So I'm going to begin with getting some wire. I'm going to make a 4 millimeter size beaded cluster ball. So I'm going to get, about a foot or so of wire. I want more than not enough because I like to be able to have enough to work with. Okay. We need 20 beads to make a half of a beaded cluster ball. So I'm going to get them in the rows, and I have made these before. So if you'd like to see how to make a half of a beaded cluster ball, click the link here. We need 20 beads. That's a 4, a 3, a 3, a 3, and a 2. 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. I'm going to take the 5, string them onto the wire, find the halfway point on the wire. So you want to try to keep the 2 sides as evenly as possible. So this one's going to be a little, I usually use bigger beads to make the cluster balls. So this one's going to be a little tinier. The process is all the same. You're going to make little groups of 5. Okay, you're going to follow your line, right side, left side, and you're going to follow the combination in front of you. So now I'm going to add 4. Put the beads on the right side, you bring the left side wire over, go through that last bead, and you have your first 2 sets hooked together. Continue. As these beads bounce around, just keep your right side, left side in mind. Keep the concave side of the bead ball in mind, and that will keep you on track. 3 are next. What we're building here is a part of her skirt, part of the witch's skirt. 3 more beads. I used big beads and worked my way down to smaller and smaller beads to give her the skirt shape that I wanted. Our half circle is done. I want to run this wire along the edge just to make it a little stronger and help hold it all together. And one more this way. And we'll knot it off and we'll start building her dress. Give it an extra tug. Okay, so the 2 wires met. I'm just going to put 2 simple knots. I'm just going to take my scissors, get as close as I can to the knot, and we've got a little half circle. That's going to be a part of her skirt. What I'm going to do is I took beads, and they graduate up. As you can see as I'm stacking them up, that will be the witch's skirt. But before I put them together, I want to make a couple of legs. And here's an example. I just play around with the beads I've got until I make something that's her shoe with a little bit of a sock and her leg running straight up. So let me show you how I did that. This one needed a new pin. So I'm going to bring over, the more beads you have, the better, because it brings out your imagination. You get more stuff to play with if you have more around you to play. So I've got a 4-inch head pin here, and I'm going to use that to help make her foot. And I'm going to start with giving her a little bit of heel. If that's going to be, I thought that was a cute little shoe, then I'm going to dump out some beads. Oh, just dump out your beads and have some fun. I'm going to give each little leg a little teeny, let's see if that's a match. Yep, a little heel. Heel. Then I'm going to put on one of these teardrop beads, and that's going to act as her shoe. And what I will do, I'm going to bend this back a little bit so it would be a shoe. Okay, now I'm going to add a bead that would kind of act like the top of her shoe or the top of her boot. And then I'm going to add black beads. Oh, wait a minute, I had a little, there we go. I had like a little cuff on there. Then I had black beads to represent her legs. She's very, very, very skinny legs. So you grab your pin, head pin, grab a combination of beads you like to make a shoe. Run the beads up for her leg. And I'm having such a time trying to get through these black beads, but they're a little bit more difficult to work with, but nice effect in the end. Okay, so thing to be thoughtful about is try to make the legs the same. There's one little leg right there. Okay, let's do another. All right, let's see if I'm close. All right, yes. I don't see any extra beads that I've missed. Now to finish this off, I'm going to take my curling pliers here, and I'm just going to cut a little bit off. I don't want so much on the end of that. Cut a little bit off the end. I'll try to make it the same. It's not as important, it's the same. I'm just going to curl it around to make a place for me to run the wire so I can hook these two legs onto the wire. So, got the two legs. Curl this around. Okay, get down to the base there. Curl it around. Curl it around. Try to round it out. Okay, then I got a little leg. Okay? What's nice is you can bend these legs to whatever position you want. The same here. Let's do the other leg. I feel like there's less wire on this one, but all I need is a place to push the wire through that would be secure and hold the leg in place on the wire. So, two legs, shoe on the bottom, a little circle on the top. And now we can start constructing our witch. We need a piece of wire. Here we go. Go back to my wire. Now I'm going to use way more than I think I need just because I like the option. Pull off a couple feet. It's probably too much, but like I said, I will reuse the extras so I don't feel too badly about cutting away too much. Okay, and this needs to be there. All right, we've got our wire. And the first thing I'm going to do is take the little legs and just push the wire through that little circle you just made. The only thing I want to do here is make sure that both the legs are facing the same direction. It's up to you, it's your witch. So here we go. And her two little legs are just dangling there. See that? See? Now I'm going to take a bead, and the biggest part of the dress, the biggest cluster ball half goes first. Take a little bead finding and I push that through so it's It's an attempt to hide the 2 circles I made. So I think of it as like pantaloons. Anyways, it's cute. So there we go. Now we can go with the big bead. And this bead not only helps give the legs a little bit of leeway, they can swing, but it helps secure the next piece. Oh my goodness. Get in there. My eyeballs. All right. We're to here. Now I add the first part of her dress. Now, as you push this wire through that hole in the cluster ball, that bead is going to stop it. See? The bead's big enough to plug the hole. She's got some pretty long legs. Now we're going to continue. Next half cluster ball. This time I'm going to add one of these teardrop beads. And what happens if you put the skinny side down, that goes into the one ahead of it and then helps to plug the next one so it doesn't, so it sits better. See? Okay. Now I'm going to repeat that process again with the next one. Another teardrop bead, doesn't matter which color because it's not going to show much. And string the wire through that thin end so that sits into that part of the cluster ball dress. And so when you add the next, see how it's graduating, it's getting smaller as your dress goes up. Now that bead fits into this one. So you get a little more, they don't slip around much and they're going to stay put where I want them to be. Oh, it's a pretty sparkly dress, witchy. Now we've got this last one that I just made. So I want a little bead stopper and I will use, just grab one here. Okay. Test it to make sure it won't go through. This one can be a little more loose. I don't have another teardrop bead to use, but this will be fine because I'm going to add findings. We're up to her waist now. We're done with the bottom of her dress by adding this. Okay. See how it slides around a little bit? So just adjust. Oh, how I am amused by these little creatures. Okay, next we have this piece, this finding I'm putting on here. It came from an old Christmas bulb. You know, the Christmas bulbs have little caps on the ends of them. I always save those because you never know. They come in handy if you want to make a witch. So that goes next. I push it down just a little bit. Oops, a lot of wire. We've got her feet and her legs and her dress. Now we're working up to her midriff or her torso. And I use one of these rondelle beads just because it's pretty. I think of it as like a belt. And it also provides a place. This is the torso bead. I went through a lot of beads to find one that would look like her torso. I came up with this. And that rondelle bead gives her torso a place to sit. See that? Okay, so we're that far with our witchy. Now we got to add in her collar and her arms. Here's the idea I had for the arms. But these here that I made are too short. And I want them to be all on one pin, not two. So we're going to fix that. And while we fix that, I'll show you how I came up with it. It's basically like the legs, only I'm using 1 4-inch pin instead of 2 to put her arms together. We need 1 4-inch pin. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to string the beads, make a circle, string the beads, so that circle will sit at her neckline. And that's how I'm going to hide the workings here. So let's see. We got her little arms, and we got a couple findings here for a cuff, black sleeves. So whatever we do, just make sure we do it evenly. We've got a green bead for her hand, and I've got a couple of findings. I just wanted to add a little bit of frill, see, like it'd be a cute little cuff. And let's see, how many beads do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to make sure this isn't too much. Looks to me like there's a little over half the pin left, and that's good because right now you know what? I'm going to knock one back just because I feel like I should. So I'm going to take my curling pliers and I'm going to make a circle. I'm just going to come around once. Think of it like the bottom of a safety pin. I want just enough to put a neck there, and I want enough on either side to continue her 2 arms. Okay? So now we have to repeat this process going up the other way. So we do the beads first. Now see, we have enough left there, I hope, to add a couple of these little cuff beads or hand bead, and I have just enough there to curl that edge. I'm going to leave that curl there. See? So she has a little curl on the end. Those are her arms. A little curl spot on the end of that hand because I'm going to add something to her. Her arms look pretty even, and that circle there might not look real great, but it's going to be perfect for what I need. I need it to string on and set right on her neck. Let me show you. String them on. What's nice about these wires is you can bend them. So, okay, so she's got her little arms there. Ooh, very short little arms, but that's all right. You can make them longer if you wanted. You just would have to make 2 different pins, and I wanted 1 pin. All right, there's that. Now I want to try to hide that spot. I want her arms to sit a little flatter. So I'm going to hold on to the section here, and I'm just going to bend the hands down, the arms down just a little bit. Okay, because I want her arms to sit more next to her body, and I want this to sit flatter on her neck. Let's try this again. You just keep working with it till it adjusts to what you find pleasing. So I'm going to come on here now. I need more fingers. Okay, so we got our wire here. I see how her hands sit differently on the bead, her arms, and that's what I wanted. Now I'm going to put some findings there to make a collar and to hide what I just did there. All right, some of the findings I found. I use again one of these silver ones, kind of the same one I used for the pantaloons. I just want a little bit of security there to hold that in place. And so I'm just pushing that, manipulating the wire and the metal just a little bit to cup over. See? Okay, now I'm going to add another bead. I already had bent this one, but it's a round bead from a Christmas ornament. Christmas garland. That sits like a collar. And now it's time to come to her head. I took another finding, flipped it upside down, so that would come up around her face. It would cup up around, and that gives the bead a little place to sit. And her head is going to be this long green bead. You wondered why she had green hands, huh? And green feet. She's a green witch. So there's her head. Oh, she's ready to dance too. Because you put the legs on like you did, you do get some mobility in with her arms, see? And that's part of the fun of this. All right, head. She needs hair. The hair was interesting because in the one I did earlier, I just took chains I found and kept layering the chains onto the wire until I got that looked like hair. I like the looks of that. So what I did this time is I found an old pair of earrings. And I'll show you. there's a little center circle. Yep, those are earrings. So now they are going to be hair. There's one. Gotta manipulate it just a little bit. Make sure. Okay, one. And then the other one. Find the center. There it is. And add it to the wire. And my witch has got some really wacky hair. And all I did here was, you've got two earrings, I just manipulated so they're just sitting on either side of her face. Yeah, that's a good look for you. Next comes her hat. Silver hair, I like silver hair. This is another little cluster ball half, and this is the tiny little beads. I think they're 4mm, they might be a little smaller. So I'm going to come right down over her head. And that's going to start acting as her witch's cap. Okay, and to make it look more like a cap, searched through my beads and I found a nice long one that was black. I thought, okay, that's going to make a nice top. I'm going to add a little black bead onto the top, the one I just added, trying to get the look of a witch's hat. I don't really want it to be a pom-pom up there. That looks cute enough, I think. And what she needs now is to be given some sort of a top here. She needs she needs a loop on the top, and what I'll do there is take a bead finding and give her a loop. Okay. I really did take a lot of wire, didn't I? Okay, here we go. Bead finding. This is the time if you want to add anything to her, if you want to take anything away, if you want to change anything, now is the time to do that, because once I put the bead finding and crimp that bead, she's going to be done. Do you like what you see there? I'm going to get rid of some of this because it's driving me nuts. Okay, now I'm going to loop this back into that crimping bead. Hold it tight so she stays together. Don't want any gaps. I'm going to push this wire back through the crimping bead. There we go. Okay, I'm going to try to keep it even so that the loop looks nice. So I've got the two through. I'm going to pull a little more off. Okay, there we go. All right. We're going to crimp it, which means she's done once I do that. I think, Witchy, you're all set. Push down, crimp. And I'm going to snip that. I was going to try to push it into the bead, but I'm just going to snip it. Anyways, I want to do one more thing here. You can twist and manipulate the legs. She can be dancing, she could be lifting her heels, because it's all wire and it all works however you want it to. Okay, I made a broom. Here again was just a bunch of seed beads, a finding I had, leftover wire. I don't waste it. And I fashioned out a broom for her. I'm going to hook on that little hooked arm I put there. Where's this thing? That little hook I put on her hand will hold the broom. So, our witch has her broom. And there you have it, all ready for Halloween, our little beaded witch. A little bit taller than the dancers that I made, but she's ready to do some dancing of her own. If you like what you've seen here today, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, And don't forget to ring the bell so you know when the next episode of Tweeks with Tweek is coming along. Until then, grab up your beads, grab up some wire, and make your own little beaded witch. She's adorable. See you again.